Well, I've gotten 6 feathers today, and I asked for feathers for confirmation, but do I actually believe that? How many more feathers do you want?
Right.
Right. Yes, they are talking to you. They're bringing it to you. It's literally right in front of your face. Here you go. Are you actually going to accept that for your mission? Or are you going to stand back and do yourself and so many other people a disservice?
I'd like to welcome Jen Stumpf to the show. I am excited to learn more about what it is you do. So before we dive into the questions, tell me about your life before business. Have you always been intuitive, or did you have a surprise awakening at one point in your life?
Hi, Lisa. So nice to come onto your show. Thank you very, very much. It's an honor. And before I started my business, I realized that I was pretty darn intuitive when I was little. Yes. And I used to connect with, I had a guardian angel that would come through, a little blondie. Wow. He looked like a 10-year-old with almost like a bowl cut blonde hair. And he would come through and connect with me and talk with me solely in my dreams. And I also had a great grandmother on my dad's side of the family. My great grandma Ruth would come through very often for me. In fact, when I came out as a medium in the very beginning, when I first started my business, I had some girlfriends from grade school who said, well, that doesn't surprise us because you used to talk about your great grandmother coming and visiting you and guiding you when you were little.
Right.
And I thought, oh my gosh, I used to talk about that. That is so cool. So it made everything like full circle. When I realized I had these abilities later in life, then it was like, then I really connected all the dots.
That's fantastic. So how long did the little boy stick with you throughout your childhood?
Oh, he's still with me, actually, and comes through. When he comes through, my whole right eye and all of the right side of my body, because he's solely on my right side, will be like hot and flushed, and my whole right eye will see like pink, as if I have like a pink lens over the top of it. So when he comes through physically for me. And look, I have goosebumps just talking about him.
I'm getting them too. That's fantastic.
Yes. So he really enjoys like being noticed, and he may come through actually during our talk today because it's like he enjoys being noticed, and he wants to almost reassure me that he's always with me, and it's always been a thing. But when I was little, he used to only come in dreams. And I've gone through phases where I had very little connection. I had done my own thing. I had gotten away from, spirituality and stuff, and then come back to it and had like waves of different experiences. So he's really been with me this whole time though.
Oh, that's fantastic. That's really great. When I was very young, I had an invisible friend, and I called him Mr. Bullwinkle because when I was born in the 60s, mom set me in front of the television, and so I would watch Bewitched, right? I'd watch I Dream of Jeannie, and I'd watch Rocky and Bullwinkle. And this I think he was an elemental, just showed up with big horns, and he was always there as a protector, just kind of hanging around me. And I think we talked a little bit, but there are many times when I frightened my family by going, oh, he's back. But anyhow, so then we eventually moved away from that home 30 miles away, and I unfortunately never saw him again. So I'm guessing he was probably an elemental of the land. So, but
yes, of course.
Well, fantastic. So intuition has always been a part of who you are, and spirit guides and angels, which is fantastic. So let's dive into some questions about your business.
Sure.
What inspired you? I know that you talked a little bit about it, but what inspired you to really start your own business?
Oh gosh, I actually never thought I would ever start my own business. I will just be really upfront with you on that. I actually am a dental hygienist. And so working on patients, working on them in the chair, I started seeing their helpers coming through. I have a lot of mediumship abilities, and I started seeing family members coming through and giving anesthetic. I remember one time specifically, I was giving anesthetic, and there was like a red healer dog that was around my feet and just in and out and sitting and put his paw on me. And I thought, what is going on? This is so strange, And I kind of thought, is this all in my imagination? Again, goosebumps, full chills. And when we were done and my patient had gotten numb, I had asked him, I said, now you had a red healer before that had passed over, correct? And he was like, well, yeah, about a year ago. And I said, oh, okay. And, that is like not the time or place to talk about anything spiritual in the dental office. Okay. Right. It's like a big old no. Right. But I couldn't help it. I started wanting confirmation for what I was seeing. I would connect with another patient and see an angel at her feet, big, beautiful wings. I mean, to where I could see the feathers in full detail on her wings. And I would ask, telepathically, why are you here now? And she would say for her sobriety. And so I would learn so much about my clients with visitors that would come through and who were with them. And so that was really fantastic. And it made me think like there's something more to this. But as I was learning, there was something more to it. I started having dreams that I was psychic, and I had dreams that I was going to leave hygiene and start my own spiritual business. And I kept it a secret for, probably 6 or 8 months from my husband. But I was purchasing these books on Amazon, like, hey, you're a psychic, you're waking up, these are your abilities. Oh, learn how to do this. And like Echo Bodine was an amazing author that I tapped into, like, oh my gosh, is this okay? Is this right? And when I was learning so much about myself, I really did think that I was keeping this from my husband, who was my high school sweetheart. We really did not have any, secrets within each other. But I mean, he was getting all the email confirmations of all these books that I was purchasing. And so one day I finally got the courage to tell him hey, I just want you to know, please don't be upset at me, but I just wanted you to know something. And he was like, what is going on with you? And I said, I'm pretty sure I'm psychic. And I think I'm going to start my own spiritual business. And he was like, that's it? That's all that you were worried about? He was like, duh, do you think I don't know what you're purchasing? Right. And I was like, oh my gosh, I didn't know you were getting the emails too, So It was just pretty hilarious. And then that's how it all kind of got going, but pretty funny.
That's fantastic. That's fantastic. Because I was really curious about whether or not you were tapping into the spiritual team of your clients, because I know many masseuses do. And that was going to be one of my burning questions. So I'm glad you answered that. But for those who don't know, including me, what is a red healer?
Oh, a red healer, a dog, like a blue healer. So a red healer is just another breed of a healing dog. The dogs that nip at sheep's feet and ankles, and they're herding dogs. Herding dogs, yeah. So yes, so my patient's dog had passed, and so I had felt that dog around my feet.
Gotcha.
So yes, that's what I meant by that. Yes.
So then what's a blue healer then?
So same thing, just more of the grays and blue coloring. So the red healers have more of a reddish, orangish coloring. So just same breed, just different colors, like a brindle or a just a different color of dog.
I wasn't sure if the colors were in reference to them as spiritual animals, and then they had some kind of special gifts or something that they brought forward.
Oh, yes. No, not in that case in particular. That was just his dog, who had passed a year ago, was coming through while I was giving anesthetic. Yeah.
Okay. Great. Thank you for clearing that up. That's fantastic. Okay. So when you started your business and you shared with your husband that you think you're psychic and you want to start a spiritual business, did you jump in with both feet or did you start it as a side hustle?
So that's very interesting. I told him back in 2018 that I was going to do this.
Mhm.
And at this point, I didn't even know what my abilities were. And so I started taking a bunch of classes and I read as many books as I could possibly soak up.
Right.
And I became Reiki certified. And so I was doing a lot of volunteering work at a spiritualist church that was a local church. And it just started snowballing. And then once 2020 hit, I had already applied for a business license. But then you can imagine all the dental offices were closing. And as a hygienist, I know myself and everybody included inside the office, they were now home. And I was home with my children. They were out of school. So I needed to teach my kids. And then I thought, okay, well, I have the ability to now be home for I don't know how long,
Right.
but let's figure out how to build a website. I don't know what I want to do with this, but let's get this going.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's when I started YouTubing everything. I learned what I needed to learn to just kind of get the ball rolling.
Yeah.
Since then, I've had other helpers,
Yeah.
but it was a perfect opportunity to step away from hygiene, which I did right when everyone was going back. I thought, this is just not my vibration anymore. This is not what I want anymore. And I want to help folks, but just in a different way. So I put in my notice. And I never looked back, actually. I was all in. And I really didn't even have clients. I really didn't have any, it might have been stupid at that time, but I was so pulled to just do it. So I trusted my intuition and I just went for it. And it turned out to be amazing.
That's fantastic. Yeah, because it does sound like there was a heavy dose of intuition and your spirit team guiding you and kind of moving you like the dogs nipping at your heels going, okay, we're going to herd you this way because we see something bigger on the horizon and we want to prepare you. So I love that about your spirit team and that how you were able to use them as guidance to, you know, stupid or not, you were preparing. I love that about your journey.
Yes, thank you. Yeah, one thing about me is I'm really not scared to try new things. So that's how you learn, and that's how you know, go past your limiting beliefs and seriously be able to see like, well, if I could do this and this and this, what else could I do? And it's been an amazing opportunity to open the doors to so many new things.
There isn't anything I won't try. Right. And that goes back to what you said earlier. And that is, what else can I do? What if I try this? You know, and the thing that I always try to press upon clients and customers in my audience is that it is about testing and it's about iterating, right? Until you can find that sweet spot. So when you are at the throes of building your business, how did you decide on your business name?
That's funny. Again, intuition. It probably took me 3 days and I was working. I remember this actually. It's funny you're asking me this. It took me about 3 days of writing down ideas, and I knew Glow because my business is Glow Spiritual Healing and Wellness. And I knew Glow had to be a part of it. And I thought Glow just sounds so chunky. It sounds like it's almost a hard word to say, glow with a G. But that came through so clearly. And part of what was also coming through back in 2018 were that my hands were glowing. And so I knew that glow had to be a part of the name. Now, I didn't know exactly what I wanted to do. I didn't know if I wanted to focus on tarot, if I wanted to focus on mediumship. I knew I had a lot of different abilities, but I wanted to keep it broad enough to where even if I wanted to bring in other readers or other healers to some level, that they would also be able to be under a name. So I knew it shouldn't be my name personally. And yeah, within 3 days, it just came in, and I thought, it's long, Glow Spiritual Healing and Wellness. It is longer, but it had to be.
Yeah.
It just leaves so many options. Yeah.
No, that's smart that you went that route, because when I started, opening the door a little bit and peeking out, I didn't want the rest of my friends and family to know what I was up to. I just really wanted to create a community, right? That I could either create a pen name that would allow me to kind of navigate the spiritual world and really understand what that's about. And so I started out with Sigil Magic Goddess. Well, to your point, it's a one trick pony, right? It's, yes, I love sigils. Yes, I've discovered in my past lives that I was an icon designer. But when it's about moving forward, right? When it's about growing, you want to be able to grow inside your business and evolve and tweak as needed. And so if you pull on another modality, the name of your business isn't going to change, and it's going to embrace that, right? So that's really smart that you did that.
Yes. Yeah. Again, that was totally intuitively driven.
Mm-hmm.
I blame my helpers.
and I'm sure they're happy to take that blame. So let's talk about in your business, when you do your practices and you also connect with clients in your audience, how does intuition at this point play a role in making key decisions for your business?
Okay. So are you talking like connecting through social media even? Because that does play a part. I won't write, or I won't send an email or anything like that isn't intuitively called to me.
Right.
So I only connect with my subscribers, let's say, or my social media when I feel this needs to be said, or this needs to get out there, or I need to make a video of this on YouTube or whatever. So I won't just do it to do it. It has to like hold intention. It has to hold meaning behind it for me to actually do it. Otherwise, like, what's the point? The energy that you are putting into your posts, people feel that. They see it, they read it. Same with your emails. They know the energy that you came from in order to write that. And so that's what they're going to experience. Does that make sense?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
Yes.
As an introvert and as a manifester, I'm totally on board with the idea of using energy for good, right? And so don't press forward if it doesn't feel right. And we grew up with a funny phrase in my family, and that was, I'll do it when the spirit moves me. And not realizing that that's exactly what we were doing, is when we are called to do something, then we'll do it, but not a moment sooner.
Yes, exactly. Exactly. And sometimes I'll get a wild hair. In fact, I call them shower thoughts. So every time I'm in the shower, it's funny. I think it's a full cleansing of energy.
I do too.
And so, yes. And so that's when I receive a lot of my intuitive information will really pile in. And that's when I'll think like, oh yeah, that's why I came up with that name, or that's why that's the next thing I need to do, or that's the next email I need to write. People need this. They're craving it at this time. So obviously that wasn't a thought yesterday, but it sure is today. Let's go.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, no, exactly. And it's funny because I get the shower thoughts as well. And I'm drawing on the doors, and I'm going, okay, the symbol is this. And so it's like, okay, can I, capture that in my memory bank, so that way when I get out, I can draw it on my phone or wherever, right? So, but yeah, it does make an impression, and it allows me to move forward with intention. So yes. That's great. Yeah. That's great. That's a very powerful point. So can you share one or two key spiritual practices that have been instrumental in your business growth?
Yes, I would say the first one, actually, first and foremost, is calming down. When we are 100 miles an hour and we are just go, 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 go. I mean, it seems that such is life. I mean, the rat race of life, all the stuff going on. And granted, being a business owner and a wife and a mom and everything coming through, it is the most important to calm down the body and recenter. And recentering is truly like resetting the nervous system. And so that's where I find, I mean, that's like number one in everything, in everything. That's where I find the most clarity, when we can recenter, or personally me can recenter to receive, like, what is next? What do I need to be focusing on?
Yeah.
And I mean, that is like the true, it's like when you can calm everything down and fully connect to what is next for you, what is best for you, you can feel it in your body, right? When you're 100 miles an hour, you just can't pay attention as well. It's the subtle hints that you are receiving, or those not so subtle hints sometimes, you just can't pay attention to or follow through, or you don't find your creativity when your mind is elsewhere.
No, you're absolutely right. Yeah. You're absolutely right.
I would say like that is like the number one. Gosh, a second one is actually taking care of myself. For me in my business, putting my energy out all the time. I mean, everybody's wanting for more. Well, what about this question? And what about this? And it's lovely and beautiful, but having boundaries and filling up my own cup, so to speak, is incredibly important. Because if I'm fatigued, if I'm exhausted and emotionally drained, physically drained, spiritually drained, then I'm really no good to anybody, especially my family. And they have seen me that way. I remember there was my second or third year as a business owner, I think it was my second year, I never said no to anybody. Never said no. And I think part of that was I wanted to connect with as many people as possible. I wanted to be able to help. I am a healer, quote unquote. So my energy was needed by so many people. And it did me a complete disservice, because yes, I helped everybody, but I was like done. I was to the point to where I was like, I'm saying yes. I'm working 14-hour days and saying yes to everybody who wants readings and this and that. And it just was a huge disservice. So I stopped all of that, and I thought, okay, I'm going to change some things. I must give back to myself. And other people don't need an answer at midnight if they can get in with me. No, it's the little things that you learn along the way.
Yeah, absolutely. And you make an important point about putting structure into place and boundaries. And that's, for me, when I share what that looks like with my audience, right? Because there are a lot of healers out there who are like, well, I want to fix this and I want to do that, and they need my help. And it's like, sitting back, receiving and saying, do they though? Right. And if so, is now the appropriate time? Right. So is it a matter of, putting up structure in your business, like saying, all right, I'm only available between the hours of noon and 5, right? And then after 5, I need to make a hard stop so I can be with my family, so I can refill my cup. So that for you is a wonderful revelation in your journey, so that you don't experience burnout, because I have experienced burnout about 8 years or so ago. And I said, okay, something's got to change. So yeah.
Yes. And the same with the quality of clients that you are attracting. Right? Because I was so inexpensive before, because my thought was, well, if I can keep my prices really, really low, I'll be able to help so many more people.
Right.
And then it was just so exhausting. It was so draining. And now I work with people who value their healing, who value their transformation, who truly value time spent with me. So it's not about, oh, what did you do last weekend? No, the conversation is like, we're getting to work and we're doing it now.
Absolutely.
And so it is a whole different ball game with who I used to be, who, you know, all of the hoops. It's kind of like kindergarten to graduation.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, you have to start somewhere and figure out like, well, gosh, why am I attracting all the clients who are not treating me well, or all the clients who really don't want that transformation, who are, they hear me, but they're not following through with suggestions from their spirit doctors.
That's tough. Yeah.
Yes. Yes. So that leads into like a whole nother topic of valuing yourself and your abilities, while calling in your dream clientele who value you.
Absolutely. And I think that if you can just touch on a small point where you realized that you needed to value yourself, and then as you start to value yourself and the gifts that you offer, how did you decide to pivot? At what point during your thought process and your reevaluation did you say, okay, it's time to pivot? What did that look like for you?
Yes, because I feel like I want to make such a deep impact, and I'm not a one and done kind of gal. I did not enjoy offering a reading and then not seeing that client for a year. You know, and they only coming back when they felt like they needed it.
Right.
I want to be able to impact you and continue to connect, so you have a full transformation. And so that's why I offer mini packages now and not one-on-ones. I don't have single sessions. I am one-on-one, excuse me, but it's in packages. So we continue to work through all the things because there's a sense of integration, you know, and so when healing the body, I have x-ray vision and can see inside the body. And so when healing the body and pulling out trauma, our vibration changes, and it's kind of as if we have to adjust to that vibration. And when there's no follow-up with that, then how do I know that my clients are receiving the ultimate care? They're probably not. And so that's why I had shifted my offerings to allow them to have the total transformation, not just a one and is it done? You know,
one and done, right? Yeah, no, and I think that's brilliant on your part to create those packages so that you can see the integration happen, and then you can go back and talk about what didn't happen and how you can move forward from that. So that's brilliant. Starting a business is a unique journey, and it's different for each of us. But one thing is universal. We can't do it alone. Getting help is essential. If you're transitioning from the work world to the woo world, eager to share your magical gifts, or you've been in business for a while, but you still face challenges, I've got your back. With personalized consulting, a supportive community, and transformative productivity tools, I'm here to help you find the best path for you and your business. Click the link in the description to learn how we can co-create your magic together. That's brilliant. So then I guess the follow-up question to that is, how do you measure success in your spiritual business? Is it purely financial, or it sounds like you also prioritize client transformation?
Yes. Oh, I do for my clients. That is like the number one thing. My calling is to help others and plant those seeds and all of the above. And so measuring success, man, that's a great question. I think it's when I can see a total transformation within my client, from coming in barely able to walk, right? Coming into a Zoom session, like, okay, well, I really wanted to fly so-and-so, but I had to cancel that conference, which I lost a lot of business canceling that conference because I can't get out of bed because I'm hurting so bad. Oh, well, let's change that for you so that you can make all of your amazing appointments. You can make all of your connections that will enhance your business, and so on and so forth.
Right.
There is a financial aspect of that, of course. There has to be an exchange of energy. And with that being said, it all kind of falls in alignment with what is the actual mission. right? What is my mission? My mission is to honestly spread my light as big as possible, to impact as many people as possible. And it takes money to do that.
Right.
So frankly, it takes a team. It takes, I mean, flights to and from. I run retreats in and out of the country, connecting with other CEOs and helping their employees grow and heal. That's not just impacting their employees and their work with what they do, but it's also impacting those employees and their families, because they're coming home to their families.
Exactly.
So like the big picture is so huge, right?
Yeah. Yes. No, that's fantastic. So many questions inside that, but we'll move along because there's so much I want to know. When you are working with the bigger picture and the mission of helping CEOs and their team and in other clients that you bring on board, what are some of the unique challenges that you face when you run a spiritually centered business?
Oh, yes. Yes. Well, I think some folks don't believe that they can receive full healing. So that's probably the number one. So I will work with you when you are ready to actually fully receive. That's probably one of the biggest challenges is limitations that we place on ourselves.
Yeah.
A lot of people think, well, that couldn't possibly be me. I couldn't possibly be totally pain-free. Well, yes, you can. And I've done that for thousands around the world. And so if you don't believe it to be true, you're already placing limitations on it.
Right.
And so you probably will not receive the adequate healing because you have blocks to actually receiving your healing. Yes. So that's probably the number one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's quite the mindset shift, isn't it? When people believe that they're not of value or they're not worthy to receive the healing. And it's kind of amazing because I met another entrepreneur who offers CBD lotion, and he's like, "What pains do you have?" And I'm like, "I don't have any pain." And he's like, "Wow." And I'm like, if I work out, sure, there's pain after working out, but generally overall, I don't have any aches or pains. So it's amazing how blocks can really hinder us from growth, because it goes back to what you said earlier, and that is, what is possible beyond the pain? What does my life look like? What am I capable of achieving without this? Right. So yeah, no, that's fantastic. And it's lovely that you're out there sharing your light so that you can help others recognize that in themselves. So I love that.
Thank you. Yes.
So how do you navigate these challenges while staying true to your spiritual practice?
Well, boundaries are important. We already talked about that. So if they're not ready to work with me, then we don't work together.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's as simple as that. Yeah.
Yep.
Totally.
And it's like either you're all in or not. Yes.
Well, that's exactly right. When you mentioned when you're ready to receive that phrase, I was thinking about that phrase last night, and I'm like, yeah, that's very true when it comes to clients who have different blocks and they're at different positions in their business and they want to grow, but how do they grow? It's like, well, it looks like you've got some kind of block in your way. So let's talk about that. So yeah, it's very important to want to be able to heal through that so that they can move on to that next level.
Yes, because it's not my decision to make that for them. I know I can make a difference in their life and completely change their life.
Sure.
But they have to also be like here for it, you know? And so I think that's a huge step, but I don't typically attract clients who are not fully ready. Yes, because that is not the vibration that I put out there. So the clients who are not willing to put in the effort and the work to show up and be present and be available to release trauma, to release blocks, to full and complete healing, I won't attract those clients who are not ready.
Yeah. And it's interesting that you say that, because when I pivoted from working with just regular small business owners to the spiritually inclined, or those who at the very least tap their intuition to build products and things like that, right? It was quite the energetic shift for me. And I noticed the quality of clients I started bringing in when, it went from I'll take anybody to now I know who my audience is, right?
Yes.
Because I can, at that point, I could be 100% myself. If I didn't say, oh, wait, I'm getting an intuitive hit, it's something that my clients have come to expect from me, right? Versus the clients in the past are like, what are you saying? And I'm like, never mind, it was just a hunch. So
Yeah.
I love being able to put out that kind of energy to attract the clients that are ready to work with me. So I love that you've assigned that for yourself as well. Now, I want to get into a really tough topic. Money matters. I say that money is only energy, and making money is one of the most difficult subjects for creatives and spiritual entrepreneurs alike. The power we give it is in the story that we tell. So let's talk about your money story. How do you reconcile your spiritual practice with running a business?
Well, it just from the very beginning, being a healer and wanting to help so many people, to now I value myself, and my prices are adjusted. So, right. And so that can be a really sticky topic when it comes to spiritual businesses, because a lot of people will come at you and say, like, how dare you charge for such and such? You should be doing this for free. Well, the reality is money is our language. Everybody speaks it. Everybody knows that they have to receive money in order to do the things, in order to be, in order to live. And so it has to be. And it is a sense of worthiness, I believe.
Yeah. I'd agree. I'd agree with that. There is that core tension between the mystical and the material, right? So understanding that, how do you approach setting your rates?
Yes. Well, I think about the bigger picture, which is the mission. Yes, because I already know I'm going to attract the clients who are ready to work with me. Right. And sometimes, and this has happened actually, when I had really cheap prices, the folks who wanted to work with me, they just couldn't, because they did not feel I was in a leadership role. Does that make sense? So when I changed my prices, it actually attracted them more. And they actually thanked me for raising my prices, because it gave value to their healing. It made them actually value their healing and their transformation that they would not have valued or placed any value in had I been a $60 tarot reading, right? So it's just a whole different energy that I am attracting as I change my prices. And yeah, I hope that makes sense.
No, it makes total sense. And I'm glad you said that, because it's a very powerful position to be in, not just to understand the energy that you're generating, the energy that you're putting out, and the energy that you're receiving, but also understanding there's this tiered effect that I talk about with my audience when it comes to understanding how to price your products and services and how to value them, because there is value in a 69-cent widget. There's also value in a $200 service. But what's the motivation behind, each of those, right? And so when you understand what it is you're delivering, and you also understand your audience, right? Because the same audience who is looking for a $200 service may also go after that 69-cent widget, but it's all in context, right? And so when you understand the pricing and the value, which are two sides of the same coin, when you understand what you bring, then you're going to attract the audience and the customers that you deserve.
Yes, yes. And I like working with different folks.
Mm-hmm.
So in the beginning, I could work with everybody.
Mm-hmm.
And now some of my older clients are like, well, how can I work with you?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Well, this is how, it's really no different.
Mm-hmm.
There is a higher price point. Yes, of course.
Mm-hmm.
And some of them were actually angry at me. Some of my audience or my community was angry when I changed my prices because they claim now that they cannot connect with me, which is not true. It's like if the services that I offer you are literally going to change your life, are going to take you completely out of pain.
Mm-hmm.
I have full confidence
Mm-hmm.
because that typically happens with every single session. And if they're ready to receive all of that, then what is the value of that?
Mm-hmm.
And you got to really think about that. So when they value themselves, they will also value others who offer a certain value to the table as well, right? And bring that in.
Exactly.
Yes.
No, that's exactly right. That's exactly right. So what are your thoughts then on the perception that mystics shouldn't charge for their services?
Yes, yes. Oh gosh. Well, it's like, do you want to punch in for work every day and not bring home a paycheck? You have to support your family. So that's like the bottom line. You've got to pay your bills.
Right.
The other part of that is this is not a necessity. This is not a service that is needed. This is, I'm ready for a full transformation. I want to invest in myself now. It's like, I know that I can change people's lives, but are they willing and ready to put other things that they had prioritized that are not priorities to them anymore aside in order to fully work on themselves? Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. I think you make a good point there when it comes to them being ready, but then also prioritizing and understanding the value, right, that you're providing. I would gently argue that it is a necessity because when you look at Maslow's hierarchy, right, when you understand where you're getting your food, that your basic needs are being met, right? I find that some people, I don't know, I would argue, but I find some people would argue that self-development is a luxury, right? And I would argue that it is a necessity. Because when I finally realized that I'm a spirit in a meat suit, right? I'm here on planet Earth as a vacation forever. How long? It was a mind-blowing paradigm shift for me. And I'm like, oh, so life doesn't happen to me, right? I generate my own motivations and I generate my my forward thinking. And oh, okay, this is fascinating because when I was growing up, intuition, ESP, thoughts coming in, I thought that was just hit or miss. I didn't know I could use them as a tool. And then when I started to really understand spirituality 4 or 5 years ago, I'm like, holy smoke, it is so much bigger than that. Right. And I'm like, oh my God, I really need to dive into self-development now because I want to be able to fully experience this human life as much as possible before, I take that exit point. So
yes. Well, absolutely. I completely agree with what you are saying. Unfortunately, it's not taught in school. Unfortunately, we're not, most of us are not raised with, this is okay to think this way. This is okay to explore that avenue, to open up that spiritual journey. Most of us have to kind of find it ourselves, or we have like a giant spiritual awakening that like, what is happening to me?
Right. This isn't the God I know.
Yeah, like, what is all of this? Why am I being touched? Why are my dreams like crazy? And why do I feel like I'm going to quit my job and do something totally different, Right. And that happens. And I love talking to folks who are in that place in their life. And you're right, though. It is beautiful and wonderful to know that about yourself,
Yeah.
to know that you have these abilities.
Mm-hmm.
And for you to say it's a necessity, oh my gosh, I honor you, because I love that you say that. And to some extent, yes, absolutely. When you develop the ability and the skills to get to know you and why you're here, and like you said, you are just a meat sack, you are a ball of light here on this planet, just going through different experiences.
Right.
So living that life as to its fullest, without fear, not holding back, just trying the things and going for it. I mean, yes, I wish that was taught.
Yeah, I do too. I do too. There's, I think, so many people who are still battling the Protestant work ethic, right? The dogma of religion and the things they were taught and programmed with. And I honestly think, as I reflect back on what middle life crisis is, I think it's spiritual awakenings, and people don't know how to cope with that, right? They go out and they buy red Ferraris, right? Or they go off and they do other things that just aren't in alignment with, you know, their vocation or their families and their marriage and things like that. And I think more and more, as you and I continue to talk about this, and all of our spiritual friends continue to talk about the awakening, either be subtle or be abrupt, when I feel that many people who are in their 30s and 40s and 50s start to wake up and recognize that they have friends, more friends than they realize, that who are spiritually inclined, can be there to help support them along the way. So I'm very excited about that. And I am utterly grateful that my spiritual awakening is very, very gentle.
Yeah.
I didn't have to go through an NDE or something tragic like that for, you know, the lights to pop on. So, well, Jen, what do you see in store for you for the next few years?
It's so good. It's so good. Yes. I see a lot of traveling. I see a lot more reaching people in different places in the world, doing massive healings. I have had a dream of healing in stadiums.
Ooh.
For quite some time, because one of my abilities, yes, I can scan the body as a medical intuitive, and I can pull out unwanted pain and trauma and discrepancies within energy that is no longer needed, no longer wanted, and fill it with healing. Yes. But I can do that in a group as well. And I see, when I close my eyes, I can see everybody like in a stadium in one holographic image. So one body with all these puzzle pieces. So each puzzle piece within the holographic body would be each and every person sitting in this stadium. And I could go through the entire body and heal the body, which in turn would heal everybody inside this stadium. So I think if, you know, sometimes I wake up from my dreams and I'm like, man, I'm exhausted. I must have been healing all night long. I must have been doing stadium work all night long. I actually see that for me in real life as well. So working with massive groups.
That's incredible.
Healing. Yeah, it's pretty cool, actually.
That's incredible. I've had a couple of visions myself, not like that, but more of a, I come from an inventor background, right? A product developer. And it's almost kind of like, if you're familiar with George Jetson, it's almost like a processing center where they can receive the healing that they want, either in their own private homes or in a group setting like you're talking about. So I think the more of us who have this insatiable desire to help massive amounts of people like this, I think Spirit is like, okay, Jen's getting it, Lisa's getting it, who else is getting it, right? Because something's got to break. We just really need to just, you know, bust out of all this crud and just share that light. So I'm excited.
Yes. And that's exactly what 2024 is all about. It is the year of the light worker. So many more folks are opening up and waking up to, I have to do something about this.
Yeah.
I know I'm needed in other ways. And so I need to really dive into that and explore that spiritual side of me to help others. And that's exactly what is happening. It's like the old paradigm is shifting away and the new is erupting. And it's really cool to watch. I love it.
It is really cool to watch. So I would be really interested in what I was thinking before I came down to planet Earth in 1965 to go, okay, we've got some amazing things happening in our life. I want to be part of that, right? So yeah, this is quite dynamic. So can you offer a short piece of advice for aspiring spiritual entrepreneurs?
Oh, yes. Just believe in yourself. And start trusting what you're actually receiving.
Yes. Yes.
That's like one of the hardest parts for folks is, well, I've gotten 6 feathers today and I asked for feathers for confirmation, but do I actually believe that? How many more feathers do you want?
Right.
Yes, they are talking to you. They're bringing it to you. It's literally right in front of your face. Here you go. Are you actually going to accept that for your mission? Or are you going to stand back and do yourself and so many other people a disservice? By not shining your light, by not stepping up and taking action, so leaning into trusting your abilities, trusting yourself, self-worthiness is so huge. If you're getting these intuitive hits to just try something new, just go for it. If you think about the mission and how important that is, it's like, what are you actually scared of? Other people are literally waiting for your magic. They're waiting for your healing. So get to work. It's time to get to work, and don't be scared. Show your face. Don't be shy.
Yeah. No, totally. That's absolutely great advice. It's potent because there are times when I struggle with being visible, and I think many of us do. But when I finally get visible, I'm like, oh, that wasn't so bad, right? So, and I think that, to your point, the worthiness and the value that we find within ourselves, the more we do it, the more confident we get. And I think that, it goes to testing and iterating and practicing and trying things out really will help support that confidence that you're building in yourself, because you're not going to get confident until you try. So thank you for that, Jen. So where can people find you?
Yes. Well, my website is glowspiritualhealing.com. And inside my website, I have a bunch of different offerings, one of which is a medical intuitive certification training program. So if you are interested in opening up and developing your gifts, you will have all the tools to become a competent medical intuitive, to not only scan the body, but also pull out, release, and heal your clients. So it's a great added service. It's also great for folks who are just starting to open up and learn their abilities. So everybody has that ability to heal and look inside the body. Yes.
That's fascinating. So does one have to be a medium before they take your course?
Oh, absolutely not.
Okay.
Absolutely not. But no one's going to take the course if they don't believe they're actually intuitive.
Sure.
And so there you'll have some hints that you're like, okay, I need to do something, but who do I trust? Who can I go to? Who is a great mentor, or somebody who will allow me to see my own individual gifts and abilities that nobody else has, that will allow me to awaken those, strengthen those, and set forth that forward motion and getting that energy going to actually doing something with it. So I wish that, learning everything that I know now, I wish I had had somebody, specifically one person. It would have been so great to connect with just one person who knew how to point me in the right direction, who knew how to help me develop my gifts and abilities. And get me rolling on something that was tangible enough to be able to start seeing clients in a sooner way, right? In a more productive way, versus like, let me just throw some spaghetti at the wall and see what sticks. because I've done that.
I'd be one of those.
Yeah, I've done that. Yeah.
Yeah. So it sounds like I need to take your course. So is your course, is it ongoing, or are you going to have some like big launch? What does that look like? How does somebody enroll in that course?
Yes, yes. So you can enroll easily on glowspiritualhealing.com on my website. And it is a course that's dripped over 6 months.
Okay.
So by the end of the 6 months and after your 30 hours of practice on folks around you, then and I have a Facebook group for all of that. So if you are interested in joining, you'll be able to connect with folks inside the Facebook group and take that as well to receive your certification. But that will be available. It is 6 months long. It is for serious people who are ready to step into their passion of helping others while receiving financial abundance in return.
That's fantastic. That sounds like a phenomenal course, Jen. Jen, thank you so much for being on the show. You're an inspiration, and I think my audience will appreciate your insights too. So
thank you so much, Lisa. I really appreciate you and the time.